Hi everyone, thank you so much for having me. My name is Amanda Braverman-Brohn, and I'm so honored to be speaking with you today about volunteerism, leadership, advocacy, and the importance of community involvement. Professionally, my background has included education, school administration for K through 12, college administration, modern etiquette consulting with color and style analysis, nonprofit leadership, advocacy work, and community outreach. But more than any title or accomplishment, the thread connecting all of those things together is that I genuinely believe we are meant to leave people and places better than we found them. I'm a mother of 5, former educator and administrator, a founder and executive director of Moving Forward Foundation, a Count the Kicks ambassador, a Girls on the Run coach, and currently United States of America's Ms. Dane County. But none of those things started because I was trying to build a resume. They started because I saw needs and I said yes. Over time, I realized that volunteerism is not just about helping people, it's about connection. It's about leadership and advocacy. It's about using your strengths, your experiences, and your voice to create ripple effects in your community. One thing I've learned is that service doesn't always look the way people expect it to look. Sometimes people assume that volunteerism means someone has a lot of free time or an extraordinary talent. I've found that the most meaningful service starts much more simply than that. It starts with caring and noticing and deciding that someone else's well-being matters to you. A lot of my perspective on this came from education and from motherhood. When you spend years working with children, students, families, and communities, you begin to understand how deeply people need encouragement, support, connection, and simply someone who just shows up consistently. Interestingly, even my work with True Colors Modern Etiquette connects back to service. Modern etiquette is really about helping people feel respected, comfortable, and confident. Color and style analysis often becomes much deeper than appearance. It's about helping someone feel confident and showing up authentically as themselves. I've realized that sometimes service happens in very simple ways, through encouragement, connection, and helping people to feel seen. One organization that has deeply shaped me is Girls on the Run. This is my 10th season coaching, and I was not a runner prior to coaching. What started as volunteering for a youth program became something that genuinely shaped who I am as a person. Girls on the Run is a program that combines movement, running, with emotional development, confidence building, teamwork, and self-worth for girls in 3rd through 5th grade. But the real magic of the program has very little to do with running. It's about helping girls discover who they are before the world convinces them who they are not. At that age, girls are already navigating comparison, insecurity, social pressure, anxiety, and self-doubt. What I love about Girls on the Run is that it intentionally teaches these girls skills, some of which I didn't learn until I was well into adulthood, like confidence, resilience, kindness, emotional intelligence, and healthy self-image. Over 10 seasons, I've watched shy girls become leaders. I've watched girls begin encouraging one another instead of competing with one another. I've watched girls believe in themselves. And one thing that I always remind people is that volunteerism doesn't always change lives dramatically, but it changes trajectories quietly. You may never fully realize how meaningful your encouragement or presence was to a child, but I guarantee they remember feeling safe, capable, and valued. Another organization very close to my heart is Count the Kicks. My involvement actually began from personal experience. 18 years ago, while pregnant with my 2nd child, I noticed a significant change in my baby's movements. In fact, he wasn't moving at all. Something told me something was wrong. I remembered my doctor asking me about my baby moving like normal when I had appointments, and I knew that that day he was not. I sought emergency medical care, and that decision saved my baby's life. I am so lucky. That experience changed me permanently. 18 years ago, conversations surrounding maternal health, fetal movement awareness, and stillbirth prevention were nowhere near as common or accessible as they are today. Today, in America, we lose an average of over 20,000 babies to stillbirth annually. In Wisconsin, we lose an average of 323 babies every year. Once I became aware of how families were experiencing devastating losses, especially without education, awareness, or support, I knew that I wanted to help create change. Count the Kicks focuses on educating expectant parents about fetal movement monitoring during the 3rd trimester through education and a simple tracking app. While the concept itself sounds simple, awareness saves lives. Research has shown actually that 1 out of 4 stillbirths could be prevented. 1 conversation can save a life. 1 informed parent can save a life. Over these years, the work has connected me with healthcare providers, doulas, advocates, volunteers, birth workers, and families across many different countries. What I've learned is that advocacy doesn't always begin in politics or in policy. Sometimes it begins with a lived experience. My experience changed the direction of my life and my family's, and eventually led to even bigger questions about how we support families, educate communities, and advocate for systemic change. Those ponderings are what led me to the creation of Moving Forward Foundation. I founded Moving Forward Foundation after 18 years of service and advocacy work, when I began to realize the gaps that existed in education, support, volunteer protection, birth worker advocacy, and access to resources for families. I just asked myself, what can I do to help close some of those gaps? I think a lot of meaningful service actually begins with that question. Not because someone has all the answers, but because they care enough to stop accepting that things have to stay the way they are, and they start acting to make changes. Moving Forward Foundation was created from the belief that expectant people deserve better education, better advocacy, and safer systems surrounding maternal and infant health. Because I was lucky to bring my baby home alive, America in the 21st century should not have families that have to rely on luck to bring their babies home safely. Advocating for change at a higher level means creating systems where families are no longer relying on luck. They aren't saving their baby because they happened to see a free app on social media. They deserve to save their baby because systems are in place that allow them to do that. Where education is accessible, where concerns are taken seriously, where support exists before tragedy happens, and where safer outcomes become more consistent and equitable for everyone. That is the kind of ripple effect that service can create. I also want to share about my experience in pageantry, because I think it's one of the most misunderstood spaces that I'm involved in. A lot of people have preconceived ideas about pageants. I know that I did. At 14, I read in a magazine that I could attend an orientation for an organization that could do the following for me: build confidence, improve speaking skills, serve my community, and make friends. I wanted all of those things. My mom drove me an hour to the orientation. When I arrived, they kept calling it a beauty pageant. And at 14, my understanding of the definition of beauty was very different than what it is today. At 14, I thought beauty meant looking good in photos. And now I understand that beauty means leaving good in the world. This fall, through a late night Google search, I think my actual Google search was something like, how to be the best version of myself and volunteer more. And I discovered a mission statement. It said something along the lines of empowering women, inspiring others, and uplifting your community. And that's exactly what I wanted to do. So I clicked on it because I wanted to empower women with knowledge. I wanted to inspire confidence in young girls. And I wanted to continue being involved in my community and uplifting it. It was the mission of United States of America's pageants, and I thought, oh no, I've been here before, but I hadn't. And as I read more about this pageant system, I read about how it encourages self-growth and personal development. As an involved parent of 5 kids, I just needed permission to focus on myself too. And since becoming involved, I've discovered that many pageant system participants have a platform, which I call a passion, for a good cause that they advocate for in their community, state, and even across the country. For me, pageantry has been an opportunity to amplify my mission about stillbirth prevention while working on becoming the best version of myself, surrounded by hundreds of women who are doing the same thing while cheering for everyone. Pageantry is not about making appearances, but about being visible with a purpose, because visibility creates opportunity. If having a title, Ms. Dane County, allows me to bring attention to maternal health advocacy, volunteerism, youth empowerment, or community involvement, then my crown becomes a tool that connects me to service. I think sometimes women underestimate the power of taking up space confidently, whether through leadership, advocacy, business, education, volunteerism. Our communities benefit from people willing to use their time and their voices for good. Community involvement matters because communities were never meant to function in isolation. We need each other. Volunteerism strengthens connection. It builds empathy. It creates stronger communities. And perhaps most importantly, it reminds people that they are seen and valued. For me, service changed the volunteer just as much as it changed the people being served. It has taught me perspective, humility, resilience, gratitude, leadership, and purpose. Recently, I was deeply honored to be selected as the 2026 Governor's Service Award honoree for Volunteer of the Year for the state of Wisconsin. The Governor's Service Awards recognize Wisconsin residents who have made a meaningful impact through volunteerism and national service within their communities and across the state. While I'm incredibly grateful for the recognition, I also genuinely believe this honor represents something much bigger than one person. It represents belief in programs and organizations that exist to leave this world a little bit better than how it was found. Belief in communities coming together to support one another. Belief that compassion, advocacy, encouragement, and service truly matter. None of this would have been possible without organizations and programs that believed their missions could make a difference. Programs that I believe in deeply, and programs that, in many ways, taught me to believe in myself too. I'm grateful for every opportunity that I've had to speak, present, advocate, coach, and serve. I'm grateful to every child that I've had the privilege of coaching through Girls on the Run. I'm grateful to the children and families in my community who continue to show incredible bravery and resilience. Most importantly, I'm grateful to my own children, who are truly the reason behind everything I do. Because this world isn't just for me to live in when it's better, it's for my children, it's for the children that I'm serving. At the end of the day, I think service reminds us that ordinary people are capable of creating extraordinary ripples. Not because we're perfect, not because we have all the answers, but because we're willing to care. And if more people are willing to care out loud, to support one another, and step into their communities with compassion and purpose, we can create meaningful change together. Some of the most meaningful moments of my life have happened not through my achievements, but through my service. The recognition of this service award is really the recognition that our communities can create powerful change. And so today, I hope that anyone listening to this message remembers this. You do not need to change the whole world to make a meaningful impact. You simply need to start where you are, use your gifts, use your voice, use your experiences, use your compassion. There is space for everyone in community involvement. And small actions truly do create ripple effects. One conversation can matter. One volunteer can matter. One encouraging adult matters. One act of advocacy matters. Collectively, those moments shape stronger communities for all of us. If you would like to get involved in any of the organizations I've shared about, I have linked them in the PowerPoint presentation that will be sent out with this recording. I also share about all of them regularly on my Instagram. My handle is @AmandaBraverman-Brohn. There's no hyphen in the last name, so it's just @AmandaBraverman-Brohn. And I would love for you to follow me and support the ways that I'm involved in our communities in Dane County and in other parts of Wisconsin. Feel free to send me a message or an email. My contact information is on the final slide. Girls on the Run is 2 seasons each year, fall and spring. And if your community doesn't have a program yet, our local council can support you in starting one. There's no running experience necessary. just a willingness to move and to mentor. You can help support Count the Kicks through volunteer opportunities on their website, and even just by simply telling others about the free app that can help save lives. Moving Forward Foundation is still awaiting nonprofit status approval. After that, we hope to provide activities and opportunities to educate our community, advocate for change at higher levels, and provide resources to volunteers and birth workers who carry forward the mission of improving maternal health and stillbirth prevention. United States of America's pageant is for girls and women ages 13 and older, and I would love for you to join me in creating lasting impact in our communities. We also have a Rising Star Princess program for girls ages 5 through 12. It is not a competition, but a mentoring opportunity for young girls to learn more about pageantry. Just a reminder that volunteerism can be mentoring, listening, advocating, encouraging, and showing up. Just start small, stay consistent, and know that every small act is still an act that helps leave your community a little bit better. Thank you so much for allowing me to share my story and part of my heart with you today. I truly appreciate the opportunity, and I hope I have the chance to meet some of you someday.